Star Spirit Tarot, and I'm here with a message for Libra, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus, and any other significant placements. This is just going to be a general message, so whatever I see is what I'm going to read. All right, benevolent ancestors, guardian angels, spirit guides, those that come to us in and through unconditional love only. What are the messages for Libra, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus, and any other significant placements? What do they need to know, see, and be aware of from the time they view this video? What are the most important messages to, for, from, about, and around Libra? For all of my returning sunflowers, welcome back. If this is your first time watching one of my readings, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and become an official sunflower. All right. I'm happy to have you. All right, Libra. Libra, Libra, Libra. One more for Libra. All right, let's get started. Comfort, confirmation, or clarity, whatever Libra needs at this time. Let's give it to them. At the bottom of the deck, we got the Queen of Cups. Ooh, I love that energy. It's feminine water sign energy. Scorpio, Cancer, Pisces. You might be dealing with one of those. You might have some of that in your chart. Five of Pentacles and the Sun coming out to start the reading. Oh, okay, interesting. We got the Six of Wands, what I believe is the Four of Swords, the Ace of Pentacles. Oops. The Queen of Cups. The Queen of Cups wanted to come on out. Okay. Four of Cups. Queen of Pentacles. Have two queens here. And we're finishing the reading with the Star and the Two of Swords. Interesting here. Let's get this set up. At the bottom of the deck, for the overall energy, we have the Three of Cups. Let's clarify the Three of Cups for Libra, please. We have the Moon, the Five of Cups, and the Eight of Swords. You're reconnecting with someone or a specific social circle after feeling betrayed, after feeling as if there was nobody that you could trust, as if there was nobody that was on your side. I think that it's also possible that you were the perpetrator in this situation. You're coming through as this Queen of Cups. We saw that at the bottom of the deck. But we also have this Queen of Pentacles. This is feminine earth sign energy. This is Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. You could be dealing with the Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, or they could have that in their chart. They don't have to. It's just the way that they're coming across, okay? What I see right here is a situation for two feminine energies to heal their relationship after a time of separation. I don't see this as romantic. I do see this as a platonic relationship or a familial relationship. This is a very significant feminine in your life. This is somebody who means a whole hell of a lot to you. You haven't talked to them in a while, and it's possible that you haven't seen them in a while. I feel like you were really good friends at some point. I do feel like there's an opportunity here for you guys to rekindle your friendship. I think that whoever put the other person on ice is probably the one who's going to need to make the first move. But if that wasn't you and you honestly want to reconnect with this person, go ahead and put yourself out there. Allow yourself to be vulnerable enough to say, hey, you are my friend and I want to rekindle our friendship. There may be even an opportunity for you guys to be like invited to the same event or in the same like at the same party or at the same club or at the same something, right? Where you guys kind of bump into each other. You didn't know the other person was going to be there and you end up bumping into each other and reconnecting that way and having a great night. But for those of you who don't really get out enough or get out as much as you could, I won't even say enough because I'm so introverted. I never leave the house unless I absolutely have to. But for those of you who do go out and share a social circle with this person or have people in common, basically, there will be an opportunity for you guys to connect in that way. But for those of you who don't really go out that much or party or anything like that, I would recommend hitting this person up and saying, hey, we should talk. It's been a while. It's been a long time. I don't know if either one of you is blocked. I don't know if you have them blocked. They have you blocked. I'm not really sure. I just know that this was kind of like a mutual separation between the two of you. I don't know who was struggling, who was suffering, who was going through a really difficult time because neither one of you are connected to the Five of Pentacles. There's some sort of circumstance that was outside of either one of your control that you guys were, one of you was just reacting to, or maybe even both of you, that you were just reacting to, and the way that you reacted created distance or some sort of coldness in your dynamic with this person. I would say this person Oh, this is the Seven of Swords. I don't know if I said Eight of Swords or Seven of Swords, but this is the Eight of Swords. The Eight of Swords is in the hidden energy here. This just talks about somebody being in a mental prison, somebody overthinking things, overanalyzing things to the point where it's driving them insane. And not necessarily literally insane, but it's almost like you can't give yourself grace, or you can't see any alternatives outside of the situation, outside of what you've already calculated. It's like, your brain has the incredible ability to store lots and lots of information, but a lot of times we'll block a lot of it out just so that we can convince ourselves not to do something. Okay, so I'll give you a tangible example. One of you, you guys aren't talking right now, right? And every time you think maybe I should reach out to them, your brain goes, oh no, they're going to hate me forever. I did this and they're never going to forgive me and they're never going to love me because I know them and I know how they are. And when they got into it with that other person, they said they'll never forgive them. So, they're never going to forgive me. So I should just leave it alone, right? As opposed to the fact that maybe the circumstances and situation was different with that other person, and maybe they were saying those things in haste or because they were upset and they didn't actually mean those things. Maybe there is a possibility for you guys to reconnect outside of what makes logical sense in your brain. It's basically what I'm trying to say. So let's clarify this Ace of Pentacles. We got the Knight of Swords, and we also have the Eight of Wands. Oh yeah, this is communication. This is direct communication as well. This is not one of those situations in which like somebody's going to say, hey, you should tell her this and tell her I want to meet with her and tell, we should have lunch and then let me know what they say. This is a very direct situation. I don't know if you've known this person since childhood, high school, middle school, whatever the case may be, or even if you're more recent friends, like adulthood friends, right? I would suggest handling this as an adult. I don't care when you met them, how you met them, what the circumstances were. Somebody needs to be grown here. And now by that somebody, I'm talking about you. Okay, I don't know if you're the earth sign or the water sign or which one you resonate with more, right? One of you is a lot more emotional. One of you wears your heart on your sleeve. You're a little bit moody, very sensitive, okay? And you can be sometimes quite hard to read. The earth sign energy coming up with this Queen of Pentacles. You're very sturdy, reliable, dependable. People can trust you because you're loyal, you're honest, and you're always going to show up for the people that you love. Sometimes you are also a little bit hard to read because you can be a little bit cold and you can come across a little bit unfeeling. You can come across a little bit like, oh, I don't care if they leave me. I don't care if they never talk to me again. The whole time you're crying on the inside. You know what I'm saying? So there's one of you who's like a little bit more openly, emotionally expressive, and the other person who's quite a bit more reserved. But that serves its purpose too. It doesn't, you don't have to become the other person in order to see the other person's perspective. But the point that I'm trying to make is, regardless of where you fit on this, somebody needs to be a grown up and say, hey, we need to talk. We need to sort this out. Okay, I do see this conversation beginning through like some sort of written message, like a text or an email or something like that. So if you've been going back and forth with the Nine of Swords at the bottom of the deck with the Hermit just under that, right? This is somebody who's been isolating or ghosting or not wanting to communicate or not wanting to come out of their shell or open up their mouth because they're so anxious and so worried that it won't go well. Well, how will you ever know if it'll go well or not if you don't try? Here's the thing. You have options here, plenty of options, but the two that are most forthcoming to me, one, you reach out to this person and they don't respond, or they don't respond how you would like for them to respond, or it becomes even more contentious or even worse than it was before. Or you do reach out to this person and they respond and they reciprocate your energy and they decide, yeah, we should talk, we should have a conversation, I do want to reconnect with you, right? So if you're living in fear that what you don't want to have happen will happen, then you're also blocking out the possibility of what you want to have happening because you're never actually taking action. You're just living in your brain, convincing yourself that this is the way it's going to go and this is the only way that it can go, even though that's not necessarily the truth. This person is either going to accept your apology or they're going to block you for good. And now I see why we have two outcomes. Maybe that's because one of you is super uncertain about how you want to move forward once you're presented with the opportunity to do so. Maybe somebody's uncertain because they're not sure that they can trust. Maybe they're uncertain because they're not sure that the other person's intentions are pure. Here's the thing. You can't apologize to somebody or want to reconcile with somebody or want to come back together with somebody and not also accept that they're going to have difficult emotions and they're going to be going back and forth and they're going to be dealing with things on their own too. Give people time, give people patience, give people grace when it comes to difficult situations like this, because that's what you would want, right? You wouldn't want them to take it personally if you weren't ready to reconnect. You wouldn't want them to take it personally if you wanted to speak only on your terms, especially if you were the one who feels like you were betrayed or hurt or stabbed in the back in some capacity, or as if somebody lied to you or let you down. There was definitely disappointment here in this situation, and I'm not sure who is the catalyst for the disappointment. And to be honest, I'm not necessarily sure that it even matters. What I do see is like this was just like a, you have ebbs and you flows, you have peaks and valleys. This was just a valley of your relationship. To be honest, I don't necessarily see that you guys are gonna come back together. I see that that is a possibility. I also see that there's a possibility of somebody not being emotionally available or not being emotionally ready enough to approach this or to handle this right now. But whatever the case may be, why would you give yourself the opportunity to miss out on an amazing friendship, this friendship that you seem to want, to move forward in and with, by not ever taking action just because you're afraid of how they might react? And it's not even necessarily their reaction. I think you're more afraid of how it's going to make you feel if they don't feel the way that you feel, or if they don't want what you want out of the situation. But you have to put yourself out there anyway, because great love requires great risk. And even if it's not romantic, right? Even if it's just platonic friendship, this is my sister, this is my cousin, whatever the case may be, it's still worth it. It's still worth the sacrifice. It's still worth putting yourself out there, at least in my opinion. Four of Cups. Let's clarify this Four of Cups. The Empress, okay? I kind of see like maybe life circumstances is what separated you guys. I'm not sure if one of you has children and the other one doesn't. Kind of what just immediately came up to my mind with this Empress here is that somebody got pregnant, or somebody had a baby, or somebody maybe had a procedure that the other person didn't agree with. It's something like that. It's like about like being in two different stages of life and not being able to reconcile those two different stages of life. One of you might be a mother and a wife, or a partner and a parent, and the other one might be living it up, single, doing their thing, career focused, career minded, or just, living in their own skin, doing their own thing over there, right? And sometimes that can create this like I don't know, sometimes it can create this weird tension in relationships, because it's like they can't relate to you on a certain level anymore. They don't understand what your life is like right now, because your life is so vastly different than theirs. I'm not saying that there's not a way forward in this friendship. What I'm saying is there was a life circumstance, something happened, okay, where it created this like disconnect between you two. I'm not sure if you can ever bridge that gap, but I'm certain that you won't ever bridge that gap if you never try, okay? The Seven of Wands at the bottom of the deck. I'm still learning this deck, you guys, and they use Roman numerals. Come on, I'm an American. Cut me a break. With the Seven of Wands, this is an energy of persistence, of perseverance, of not giving up, not being afraid when you feel like even all the odds are stacked against you. This is standing up, and this is doing it even when you feel afraid. You feel the fear, and you do it anyway. You feel the anxiety, you feel the fear coming on, you feel the doubts creeping in, and you do it anyway because you say this relationship means more to me, right? What if instead of like, okay, let's say this person did get pregnant and have a baby, and now they're living this family life, or they got somebody pregnant and had a baby, now they're living this family life, and it's harder for you to resonate with that. Maybe you should tune in and tap into that family life a little bit. Maybe you should, get into your auntie bag and say, or your uncle bag and say, look, I get to be a part of this child's life too. I think there maybe, especially if there's a child involved, there's some sort of jealousy here, okay? And it's not jealousy about them having something you don't have. It's about them now having responsibilities that make them less available to you. So whoever the childless or the friend who's considered to have less responsibilities, let's just put it like that, because it doesn't necessarily have to be children. But the friend who has the fewest responsibilities is always going to see the person with the responsibilities like as those responsibilities taking their friend away from them. Okay, that's how this person sees it. That's how they think about it. Okay, it doesn't have to make sense to you. It doesn't have to make sense, period. That's how they feel about it. Every other responsibility that you add into your life, first you get married and now you have kids, so when are we ever going to spend time together? That's how the person who has less responsibilities thinks about it. Okay, and it's funny and it's a little childish, but I think it's endearing. Honestly, I think that's pretty much who you know them to be. I don't think what I just said wouldn't make sense to somebody who's in the opposite energy. These energies are coming through quite evenly, so I wouldn't say that it belongs to one of you or the other you. I don't know. You have to put your energy where it goes. But one of you is a little bit jealous that the other person has a lifestyle or has chosen a lifestyle that kind of takes them away from you a little bit, and I can understand that. I get that. Let's clarify the star with the Two of Swords. Why is that here for Libra? Oh, some turned over. I don't know when these turned over, but I have the High Priestess, I have the Two of Pentacles, and I also have the Nine of Pentacles. Okay, I think that there is something, a lifestyle change or circumstance change. We also have the Six of Cups at the bottom of the deck. How cute is that card? This talks about friendships, soulmates, that sort of energy, past life love, and it doesn't have to be romantic. This is a very platonic, familial kind of reading to me. This is very much like two feminine energies who are prideful and who don't want to say that they were wrong, who don't want to, put themselves back in a situation where it's going to cause even more pain. I think you were genuinely great friends, but I also think that life circumstances created this kind of chasm between you two, and now you have to build a bridge, and both sides have to be responsible for building this bridge, not just one or the other. What I can't tell you right now for certain is if the other person involved in this situation actually wants to build this bridge, but what I will say is that you do, and that's enough for you to take action towards it. Now, I'm not asking you to violate anybody's boundaries, and I would never even recommend that or give that advice. But what I will say is that if you are in the position to contact this person, to reach out to this person, situations and circumstances have changed. You guys' lives are at least in a different enough position for you to be able to kind of see where it might have gone off course or where you may have gone wrong, right? Where your wires may have been crossed, okay? I wouldn't take anything that happens from this point forward personally, whether or not they choose to move forward in a relationship with you. But I don't want you to have to live in regret of never taking this chance or this opportunity to see things through with them. I'm sorry that I couldn't give you a more concise answer, but that's what the energy is right now. It's a little bit up, it's a little bit down. Who knows what's actually going to happen? But maybe you can influence the energy by being vulnerable, by being sincere, and by coming with a genuine understanding that if they don't choose you right now, it doesn't have anything to do with you. Okay? This is what I have for you, Libra. I hope that this was helpful or enlightening. Like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I will be with you next time.